This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Netflix. Go to netflix.com/TYT for your free trial membership. So there's been a lot of controversy, especially within Democrats, about whether or not the Loeffner shooting was political. Now, of course, Cenk got a ton of criticism for saying that that he is not only a crazy person, but he is also someone who was driven by a political ideology, right? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that he was just mentally ill and there was absolutely no reasoning behind it, or do you think that politics played a role?
You know, I've gotten a lot of criticism on this same issue a couple times before when there was the shooting of Unitarians who are known to be politically liberal in Tennessee, and the shooter had on his shelf Sean Hannity's book and Bill O'Reilly's book and all literature from all these other guys, and it was very clear that he'd been whipped up by them into a kind of frenzy. I got attacked from the left and the right, and I got, I went on Air America, and a civil rights lawyer there was the host of the show, and he was all over me about how I was trying to suppress freedom of speech and all of that. And this time around, look, this time around I was very careful, okay? This time around I held off and I wrote a piece called A Moment of Silence. And I said, I'm not, let's pause. As a tragic event. Nobody wants to be accused of politically exploiting this situation. And I heard the president's remarks, which were very good, but he said something else too about let's not politically exploit it. And I was just reading a piece in the Huffington Post this morning from a social worker and a writer saying this was clearly not political. This was clearly an example of a troubled individual acting out. And I do feel it's time to speak out now and stop, because this is turning into what I call America's insanity defense, which is that we're not guilty somehow as a society of violent political rhetoric. It's always just a crazy guy's fault. So here's the example that was running through my mind as I was driving over here this afternoon. Let's say you know a crazy person, and let's say that crazy person's name is Jared. Just for sake of argument. And let's say you keep whispering into Jared's ear every day, redheaded people want to kill you.
Right.
Redheaded people are trying to take away your freedoms. Jared, you like your guns, and the redheaded people are going to come and take your guns. The redheaded people have death penalties. Well, if Jared went out and shot a whole bunch of redheaded people, would you turn around and say, had nothing to do with me, he was just crazy, he would have shot him anyway? First of all, he might not have shot anybody anyway, because you're the one that worked him up into a state of fear and terror. And secondly, he wouldn't have picked redheaded people. So now we don't know all of the details about Jared Loeffner, but also think a little bit about the pattern. Let's say that you had a whole political movement dedicated to proving that hairdressers were evil. Just pick random, hairdressers. And they were on TV every night. Bill O'Reilly said, San Francisco has too many hairdressers, so I think they ought to blow up Coit Tower. And Ann Coulter said, the only way you can talk to a hairdresser is with a baseball bat. And by the way, I don't think she sees a hairdresser, but that's a side issue. And Dick Morris had a book, Off With Their Heads, Why Hairdressers Are Traitors. And Sean Hannity had a book, Treason, How Hairdressers Are Going to Destroy the Country. And Jacob Goldberg had a book called Liberal Hairdresser Fascism, and on and on and on. And the hairdressers are out to get you. And all of a sudden, over the course of 5 years, somebody walked into a place where hairdressers were gathered in Tennessee and shot a whole bunch of them. Somebody went to one of the most famous hairdressers in Kansas City as he was coming out of church and murdered him. Somebody shot some other hairdressers here and some other hairdressers here. Finally, when it happens the 8th or 9th time, they go to a hairdressing salon in Tucson and shoot up a bunch of people. There's no connection, and the people who say there's a connection are trying to exploit this matter politically. No, they're not just crazy people. They may be crazy, but they've been stirred on by the rhetoric, and if you don't think so, you're the one that's crazy.
No, I agree with you 100%, and I love the way you just put that and gave those great examples. I think it's just as egregious to say that this was clearly not political. How can you say it's clearly not political when he went in there and targeted a Democrat? A Democratic politician. It's not like he went into a random store and just started shooting up random people. You see what I'm saying? And people quickly forget when George Tiller was killed, when he was shot. You had people like Bill O'Reilly on Fox News calling him Tiller the baby killer, Tiller the baby killer, a million times.
Right.
People who are not all there mentally. Of course, if you push them to a certain certain target, they can easily go toward that target. And I think that's what happened when the shootings happened in Arizona. And if you try to mention that at all in the mainstream media, people freak out.
Get a load of Netflix. They deliver the movie to your house, no late charges, free shipping.
You can watch thousands of movies or TV shows straight on your PC or on your television through a gaming console.
Netflix.com/TYT. Free trial membership. You get Netflix all over you.